What is up, For Honor family? If you appreciate the content, please like and share the vid. It helps get this in the eyes of other gamers like us. Okay, when the Faction War map was first presented, it made sense, as it should. We have an entire story mode that encompassed it. Once that playable story mode was exhausted and more heroes and factions were delivered to us, it now feels like something is missing. The team would talk about the different parts of the world the Wu Land or individually the Outlanders came from, but outside of a cinematic that, let's be honest, some players have possibly never seen, or lore that some have never read, we didn't get immersed with those other domains or territories or areas within the game, since those heroes always came to Heathmoor. While the Outlanders were all from distinct locations not represented on the map, the introduction of the Wu Land in 2018 was a complete fumble. They should have been on the map. For whatever UB reason, they didn't. Could it have been the dwindling player base and the drying up of funds, an exodus of creative personnel? Who knows? That's besides the point now, because I believe we are finally going to see this map begin to expand beyond Heathmoor, and maybe some changes to the faction war in general to include being able to choose the Wu Land as your faction. And this transition is happening thanks to the deceitful and conniving General Z. If you go to the For Honor website, you can read his story, and I'm not going to read it all here, but there are multiple things and words within his story that points us in this direction. As we know, General Z is offering the sword as a peace offering to Astria. The general is using this sword as his instrument and using his famed story to conceal his true motives, y'all. The story mentions when the sword was first forged from metal found within a meteorite that separated two armies. Thus, the name Starfall's sword was born. Here's the quick snippet. Blacksmiths from both sides were called forth, and together they used metal from the fallen rock to forge a weapon, one whose blade reflected the very stars under which it was made, the Starfall sword, a symbol of peace, of understanding, fealty, a sword that would throughout time be given in times of great turmoil, a gift meant to put aside our differences, something to make us, the Wu Land, stronger. You see, there's plenty here already. It says the sword is a symbol of peace, a gift to set aside our differences, and it is also to make us, and then it hyphenates to be more specific, the Wu Land stronger. These words alone underline what the general was going to embark on before he even got the sword. Then once the general met with the JJ named Lord Shun, he provided the meat as to the faction war map expanding, and the Wu Land being a selectable option. General Z stated, knights, Vikings, samurai, they are all anyone talks about in Heathmoor. We are nothing short of an afterthought. The general is saying what many players have said for a long time. That's just the bottom line. The Wu Land had felt like a complete afterthought for the longest time. They dropped in year 2 in 2018, and while other rosters were boosted, they received Zanhu, and that's it. Then the Outlanders came in year 5, and they will match the Wu Land hero numbers with the new Outlander hero in early 2025. I absolutely get the general's position. He then goes on to further hint at putting them on the map. I want to restore honor to the Wu Land name. It's time for all to recognize us. Time for all to fear us. Of course, the JJ laughed it off, as you can imagine JJ would, right? With his arrogant tail. And Z wasn't having it. So he went off and grabbed the Starfall sword, and while he was doing it, he said these words. I wonder if you are familiar with the legend of the Starfall sword as you claim. Do you know of its other name? Shun grasped for air, spitting up blood. No, I don't suppose you do. It's not commonly known. It's a name only whispered by those who have wielded it, a secret passed down only to the very few. Let me educate you then, my lord. In the dark, we call this weapon the serpent sword. He plunged the blade into Shun, and the Jang Jun finally stopped moving. He just revealed the deceit that lies within the perceived gift of the sword. The general also stated it's called the serpent sword, a name Astria, aka Warmonger, doesn't know, as she only refers to it as the Starfall sword in the trailer.
Here I stand, the Starfall sword in my grip, a gift given in times of peace.
She doesn't know the dark side of Ji, and while she is not fully trustworthy of Ji, she is going along with him for now. The general story ends to where we are at the beginning of Year 8 Season 4 and the trailer snippet you just saw. But before we get there, I want to finish up what was happening between him and the JJ. And this is something one of his guards came up to start the conversation and said, General, the messenger has returned, the invitation was accepted. She will be here within a fortnight. Now that's a spelling error, it says within a fortnight. His face obscured, Ji smiled, a crooked, toothless line on his face. Excellent. General Ji's arrival is the beginning of change in Heathmoor, and Astria can feel it. She even says it at the end of the trailer.
We shall not be stopped. We shall not be bound. A downfall is coming.
And did you see the eagle at the end? That's a nod toward the new Outlander hero that is coming. I read that Mongolians did use eagles to help them hunt. I just wonder, will the Outlander hero be assisting General G or be enveloped in her own ambition? So there's still much more to know. So what do y'all think? Do you think that we're actually going to get the faction war map expanding? Even if it's not now, will it happen at the beginning of year 9? Or possibly title update 2 once we get the new hero? That would be a good time to introduce it as well. Curious to know your thoughts. But that's all I have for this one. I know there are players that are not into the lore. I try to present it to you on occasion a little differently if I find something interesting and connective. I've said it before, I couldn't have cared less about lore when I started playing, but the more I played and new heroes would come out and then the hero skins, I've wanted to know more. And if you take it in bite sizes, similar to this, you might find it interesting too. It only grows the story of the heroes and adds to the flavor of the game. I hope y'all enjoyed this one. I appreciate you stopping by the channel today. Take care of yourself and others. Till next time, y'all. Peace.